everyone. I'm Ms. Karen from the Dorsch branch of the Monroe County Library System. And this time on Dorsch Discovers Downtown, we're going to check out Amaya's restaurant. And so just a little history of them. The parents was Larry and Sue. And they came from Mexico, and the brothers, Tino and Mark, have partnership to get the restaurant together. So we'll ask Tino more information when we get there. So come along with me to the restaurant. All right, everyone, we're here at Amaya's with Tino Amaya here, and he's going to talk to us about his business and how he started and just give us a little information about it. So here you go.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming out today. We appreciate having you. So I got my start actually with my grandmother, Hortense Soto. Everyone called her Tencha. I started cooking in her kitchen when I was 8. And I never left. I mean, I joke around and say I'm Peter Pan. I'm the boy that never grew up. I get to hang out in the kitchen all day, and it's been a fun career path for me. So, but we, from Toledo originally. And then when I was a kid, my dad got transferred to Mexico, and so I lived in Laredo, Texas, went to culinary school, and then made my way back this way.
Great. So, thank you. Can you just about how you got started in here and being I know we kind of touched base a little bit about that, but could you share with us some information?
Like why we came to Monroe?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So we had our first restaurant we opened in the Ohio market, and we outgrew the space. I actually tried out for a show called Top Chef. And I didn't make it. I made it all the way to the elimination round just before you get onto the TV show, and I got cut. But there was a TV station in Toledo that picked it up. There were 2 of us that actually tried out, myself and another chef. And so they came and did an expose at our restaurant, and they talked about it, and they did this live segment with me cooking and making tacos and stuff, and we just blew up. The restaurant blew up. We ended up outgrowing the space. And when we were looking for a space, I started looking at all of the different metrics that were involved in kind of growing the restaurant. That was something that I had done in a previous life in a corporate position I had. So we started looking at the demographics in Monroe County. We were looking at Adrian. We were looking at maybe even going all the way up to Ann Arbor. And we were familiar with Monroe. I have another business. I'm actually a State Farm insurance agent, and I've had a very successful State Farm agency here in town for over 20 years. So, Monroe, it was just kind of like, all right, the stars aligned. This space came available. It didn't look like this, but it came available. I spoke to the Benetos, and here we are.
Well, we're very fortunate that you got here. That we would love Amaya's. So I know we saw in the paper about the social district. Would you like to touch base about that and explain that to us?
Yeah. So the social district, and I know a lot of people have questions about it. So a couple of quick highlights that make it, something special for the community. And I have to give a shout out to Chris Bika. Chris and I started talking about this right when COVID first happened. The MLCC had put something out about possibly allowing businesses, restaurants in particular, to be part of a social district where we could sell beverages to go in certain cups that citizens would be able to kind of walk around the downtown districts or in special designated areas where they could drink, maybe sip and shop, things like that. And so, Chris started the process, and then unfortunately his business just didn't survive coming out of COVID. It was a tough time for all of us. So I picked up the ball. I met with the city, and Mark Cochran got involved, and Mark really helped kind of take it over the finish line. So what does the social district do for us? It allows us to host events without having to go through a lengthy permit process, number one. The other thing that it does is it allows the citizens to, let's say you want to go shopping on a Saturday afternoon. You can now visit any of the businesses around us. Again, you can have a beverage. Now, you can't take that beverage inside, but most of the businesses that we've talked to are going to set up either benches, have outdoor seating available, so you can sit out there while maybe the husband goes into Jones for Men and the wife is drinking a glass of wine, or let's say Brown Bag Boutique wants to partner with us to do a sip and shop. Now we don't have to go through the lengthy process of trying to fill out permits and paperwork and all this and that. We can allow them to utilize a portion of our liquor license to host a true sip and shop where you can walk around, glass of wine, they can have things in the house, you can shop, and I think it'll help kind of build their business as well as accentuate the city. So.
Okay, thank you. So just basically about the restaurant, what are some of the most famous, or people like the most on the dinners that you have?
Yeah, so our most popular items are steak fajitas. We still hand trim the steak, cut the steak in-house by hand. It's a process. We get in this giant roll of beef, and we trim it up to order. So our steak fajitas, a lot of people love them. It is a lengthy tenderization process, but it's something that we do. And then I think our chicken and chorizo chimichanga. We make our chorizo in-house. It's my great-grandmother's recipe. We've been making now, I think I'm third generation that's making it in-house. So we just kind of stick to the things that our family's done for generations, and we get to carry on those traditions. So.
Also, I'm asking this for my boss, Amber. She was asking about, you have a new vegetarian thing that you have going on?
Yeah. So you know what? I'm a chef in the truest sense of the word. I love experimenting with food. About 9 years ago now, I was at a food show in Venice, in California, and I went to this restaurant in Venice. There was this amazing chef named Travis Lett that was doing some crazy good food with jackfruit, using all different types of vegetables and just treating them as proteins. And I thought, man, you know what? This has got to be on trend. If this guy's doing it and he's at this big, amazing restaurant, then I need to try and do it too. So we brought jackfruit to Monroe about 8.5 years ago, maybe 8. I would say a solid 8 years ago. We started making jackfruit carnitas. We were making jackfruit chorizo. Any way possible that I could make jackfruit, I was making it. It started with just that. Now we do a toasted oat product that, where we make the oats taste like ground beef, like taco meat. It's bananas, man. We're doing some crazy, crazy, crazy fun stuff. But we're using tofu. We're doing tofu tinga, and we make the tofu look and taste like a chicken product. But it's just treating it like I would any other product or protein. But it's vegan food. We make our own vegan ranch dressing in house, and it's 100% vegan. Our rice, our beans are 100% vegan. So, it's just what we do.
That's great. What made you want to be a chef?
The honest answer is I didn't. No, I'm being serious. I didn't. I went to college to be an English teacher. I wanted to be a teacher, and somewhere along the way I realized I wasn't a very good student. And I had a manager that I was working with at this company who would constantly tell me I was one of the best cooks he'd ever worked with. I was one of the best cooks. And the company that I was working for offered a culinary apprenticeship. They said, hey, we'll pay for your culinary school if you give us 2 years of service. And I was flunking out of college because I wasn't a very good student. But I was working a lot and trying to, provide for myself and things like that. It was a different time back in the 90s. And so I thought, you know what, I've got no other option. I might as well do this. I'll have something to fall back on. Little did I know, 30 plus years later, the journey that it's taken me on. I've been all over the country. I've been to London. I've been through Mexico. And now I'm here in Monroe, But, again, I don't like to brag about the things that I've accomplished, but man, I've had just such an amazing journey being a chef, that anyone that ever comes to me and says, I think I want to go to culinary school, I always say, yes, let's have a cup of coffee, let's sit down and talk, because I think it's the most amazing career path you can take if you treat it truly like a career path. But man, it's been great to me. It's been phenomenal. It's opened lots of doors, and I can't complain. It's been great.
So a follow-up question on that: who kind of inspired you, and who brought you to be such a great chef that you are today?
Well, I don't know if I'm great. Let me start there. I think I'm really good at what I do, and I try really hard. But the inspiration it comes from my parents. My parents were migrants. My dad was a migrant. That's what originally brought us to Monroe County as kids, or like before I was even born, the last farm my dad worked was the Iperley Farm, which is now a golf course. And so moving back to Monroe County, it was almost like a full circle experience, right? So I credit my parents first and foremost, because, you know, this is my dad's last name. This is our last name. And in my opinion, I think the greatest joy that you can bring your family in general is to make sure that you make your family name proud. So every day when I wake up and I flip the lights on, my mission is to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to continue making our family name proud. And by doing that, I think we've become some of the best ambassadors of the community. I think we've ingrained ourselves in the community, and we do everything we can to give back as much as we can to the community. And, you know, I do all that just to keep the family name and legacy going.
That was beautiful. It was really nice. So can you tell us what an average day looks like for you?
Ooh, an average day. So, okay, so anyone out there, I'm going to look right into the camera when I say this, because I give these talks a lot to young individuals that want to come into the culinary industry, culinary field. An average day starts at 6 a.m., okay? I'm usually up by about 5:30, 5:45. You're in the shower, you're out of the shower, you're getting your first cup of coffee, you're taking your vitamins, because yes, now at 50 I've got to take a lot of vitamins. There's a whole regimen that happens. But then after that, you know, we're here. We're trimming meat, we're getting chicken ready, we're starting to make ground beef, we're getting all the tomatoes, the peppers, the onions, everything roasted. We're starting to put together the salsas. We make it fresh every single day. So that whole process starts, and it doesn't stop until we open at 11, and then it doesn't stop until mid-afternoon or even sometimes 6, 7 o'clock at night, because we continue going through business. And then I usually get home around 10:30. So a typical day for me is very, very, very long, Monday through Saturday. I usually take Sundays off. That's God's day for us. I'm sorry if that offends anyone, but it is what it is. It's God's day for us, and we appreciate having that time with family and spending that time, you know, kind of resting and recharging. So.
That's wonderful. All right, could you share with us, have you had anybody famous or anything local or famous that you have?
Yeah, I don't know if they're famous, but definitely local people that we enjoy having. Of course, Bronco McCart. Bronco's a great friend. Comes in quite often, and he's one of my dad's favorite boxers of all time. So my dad loves when Bronco's here and my dad's here. He loves talking to him and hanging out with him. And then, of course, Darren McCarty. I've become really good friends with Darren McCarty, former Stanley Cup champion and Red Wing player. And that's a whole nother story with how we met. But Darren has just become a great friend of the family. He's become a great friend of the restaurant, a great ambassador of ours. And so it's been a pleasure. And then, you know, lastly, last year, for the Super Bowl. You know, I was one of 5 chefs that was picked from the state of Michigan to go cook at the Super Bowl. I got to cook with a guy named Wolfgang Puck. Some people still remember who he is, but he is a pretty big chef. In our world, he's a pretty big name. And that was probably one of the greatest experiences that I think I've had in a long time.
And of course, you've met Troy Aikman, too.
Yes, I did get to meet Troy Aikman, and that came full circle at the Super Bowl, because I cooked for Troy when I was in culinary school in Dallas way back in the 90s. And then at the Super Bowl, he was one of the commentators, and he came up to our area, and I got my 20-second, you know, handshake and conversation with Troy to kind of bring that full circle, to say, hey, man, here I am all these years later, you know, but it was fun.
Okay. I know you bring in a lot of talent. We have a music night and everything. Could you share with us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, when we inherited the space, when we moved in, we had the stage. And so my brother, who is my silent partner, he was like, man, you know, we need to like have music. We need to figure out how to utilize the stage, because the only other option was to tear it out and add more seating. So we try to bring in a lot of local bands. Our house band for a number of years was Hippie Chick. Chrissy McIntosh and her husband, they would come in and play and did a great job for us. Broke our hearts when she retired, but We still love you. We still love you. And they still get food from us. So, but you know, so, and then we also have PB&J that plays on a regular basis, which is a local jazz band. They're part of the Monroe Big Band. So, you know, early on when we first opened, we had the jazz series that we used to run through here leading up to the Jazz Festival when Monroe had the Jazz Festival. So, you know, we've always done that. Now we're doing comedy. We have a big comedy event coming up. As a matter of fact, Friday, I don't know when this is going to air, but Friday night, we have a big comedy event coming up. And we do comedy through the winter, and then in the spring we shut it down. Usually just before or right after Cinco de Mayo, we shut it down. And of course, man, we're a Mexican joint. We're going to have Cinco, right? And so with Cinco, we're going to have a live Mexican band. We're going to have DJ Big Mike, Totally Focused Entertainment, as our DJ. We're going to have some drink specials. We're going to have some, you know, taco specials and things like that throughout the day. We're going to have some giveaways from some of our other vendors that are giving away some fun, you know, goodies and things like that. So it's going to be a party. It's going to be a good time. So yeah. But thank you.
Thank you. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with us that you can cover, or that we covered everything?
You know, listen, I am going to say this, okay? I know a lot of people have some negative connotations or feelings about this community, but I'm going to tell you, and I said this when we moved here 8 years ago, this city's poised for a lot of growth and a lot of change, but the only way that happens is if we all do it together. It's not just going to be me and my restaurant. It's not just going to be the guy down the street. The only way that we get better is if we get better together. So, man, come on board. I don't care what restaurant opens up down the street, you'll see me there. I believe in supporting all things Monroe. I don't care if it's a new joint, an old joint. You know, as long as it's here and it benefits the community in a big way, I'm going to be there. So come along with us, man. Let's just grow the city one day at a time.
Thank you so very much.
Of course,
Thank you. All right. That's it. Thank you.
All right, we're back here at the Dorsch branch, and I would like to thank Amaya's for letting us come in and film with them and the great food and everything that they had. So I just want to show you a couple of books that we have here at the library. These are just ones that I have at the Dorsch branch. We have cookbooks, we have Christmas, we have crafts, and so a lot of good things throughout the library. So just stop by one of our branches, or you can call and request some books anytime. So until next time, you have a wonderful day. Be safe and be kind. Bye.